Okay, so welcome to the Say Cheese platform, Mamta. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for asking. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be a part of your platform. I think what you've started as an initiative is a fab place to start. So that's great. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mamta. Thank you. We're going to start our session with just briefly introducing you to our audience, and then we can get going on the topic and everything that you have to tell us about women in operations.
Sure, sure,
So,
definitely.
Mamta, you are called as the Customer Experience Enabler. You're on a
Yeah.
mission to enable organizations and startups to scale and build engagement through a focused customer and employee experience culture. You have over 18 years of experience and you worked in four NASDAQ listed companies, a startup which has had the fastest scale to sale path, which is Whitehat Jr. I'm sure everyone with young kids knows about Whitehat Jr. by now. Setup
Yes.
of operational teams, frameworks for CRM and customer experience strategy to deliver fast growth across e-commerce, telecom, and edtech. You've recently joined an EdTech Skill Link, which is Series A funded, which has began the journey to positively change the upskilling and employability of our engineering students across India and global locations. The ability to inspire businesses to make game changing decisions to enhance the environment, culture through smart application of digital transformation initiatives is what helps you thrive. And when you're not working, you love to read, play sports, and travel. I can see the travel part is definitely coming through, but
Yes.
I hope you do have time for sports and reading as well.
Yes, I do try to make time for that. If you love something, I think we do make time, right? So yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So, Mamta, why don't we start with a little bit about your own career journey and if you could take us through it?
Okay, great. Once again, thank you all and for this opportunity. So, I think what you read in my profile, it's quite elaborate, but it also is a lot of English, right? But to keep it simple, one, I come from a typical Mumbai-based middle-class family, nuclear family. Mom was a housewife, dad had a business. Me and my sister, two siblings, right? So, growing up with a very typical mindset, get do well in studies, focus on what you need to do by a certain age. But my career trajectory also started from there. So diversity hit very early. I played sports professionally, before I started working. So I was a women cricketer, playing for Air India. In fact, when I retired, Mitali Raj had joined our team, so she was in school. So a very weird and diverse background. Career wise, I started circumstantially or whatever. Started working with call centers, moved to a UK telecom company, and I think that's what built a lot of what Mamta is today. Getting to work for an international company so early in your life, and I grew in 8 years, starting at a first level in the org. I grew on to head the entire operations of that company across processes in 8 years' time. I think that's what created today the conversation point, right? Women in leadership, because that's where I saw equity between men and women, not so much focus on gender, but on meritocracy.
Yeah.
So that's where I learned my basics. Yes, worked with companies like Infosys, Rediff.com, IBM, and yes, like White Hat, definitely. A lot of people will know White Hat. Uh, but operationally, what gave me the confidence is, the silent workers behind all the visions and goals and missions. There are a lot of people who do that job, and that's operations, right? A lot of times it remains silent. So I feel, especially women who work in this role, somehow are very willing to take a back step and let everybody else move on and take the credibility, right? I feel women should not do that, because I've seen a lot of great talent just standing aside and letting things go. And this conversation, as part of my career, I think that's what I want to enable. Um, so yeah, that's a bit of what I've done and what I want to do in the future.
Wonderful. Like you said, I think operations is like considered like a support function, right? Much like other functions, and as a result of which, if it's working, nobody notices. If it's not working, everybody has a view, right? So I think
Yeah.
it really comes from there. So tell me more. Why did you decide to? enter into the whole operations area? I understand your first job, you were a part of it, but and what makes you passionate about women in operations?
Okay, so yeah, you made a very astute point here, right? In fact, one of my managers very early in my career, when I was moving different roles, I was asked to move to a unit which was a problem area, and the statement that was used, it stuck in my head. Your role is a janitor's job. uh, you know, recognize that nobody will come and applaud you or give you accolades. But the day you don't do your job, when it stinks, you will be remembered.
True.
And it stuck to me. So, and in my head, I'm happy to call myself a janitor, because I think that's what keep things functional, right? But jokes aside, career in operations and experience, a lot of things that we do today is attached to emotions, relationship, right? Be it any company, industry, and women naturally are very good at it. uh, our first instinct is to build an equation at an emotional level, or build a relationship, and we know how to take it forward from there. Personally, I've done that across telecom, cloud industries, e-commerce, the most niche industries to come. So startups, for that matter, today edtech is big. It exploded because of COVID, but generally, building for your future generation was my outlook, right? The kids, what can we do better for them? So everything we do there is very sensitive. Having to spend time with a child to understand what does a 6 year old want, it takes a different level of a very minute operational ability. That spend the time, go to the ground and see, only then can you build a great product, right? And that's what experience is all about. All the automation tech and all the big words that you'll hear, they will fail if we don't understand what the actual user wants,
Correct.
right? So that's what I have done, and that's what I believe very strongly. That's how the orientation of operation should be. Of
Correct.
course, I will tell you that some of the things that we need to do well in ops is also know your numbers, be
Mm.
very, very strong. uh, don't shy away from communicating what you think. So since I've done that and I feel that gives results, I believe yes, women should move forward in this area.
Very nice. Very well said, Mamta. So, tell me a little bit more about your personal experiences, especially ups and downs. I mean, we all like to talk about our accomplishments and our achievements on the CV, but not every day is a good day. I mean, there have been low moments of our life when things don't didn't go our way. I mean, why are we even in this career in the first place, right? Or a bad feedback from the boss and a appraisal. There are a lot of things which gets us down. Our own self, lack of self confidence. So tell us a little bit more about your personal experiences.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very important question, right? And I think if we're not able to read ourselves, we're definitely not in position to read other people or manage them. So, in fact, the example that I gave you, right, where my manager told me be a janitor. Now, that requirement for me came on the back of me heading one of the biggest units in the company. And after that, if somebody tells you go and do a job which nobody's going to look at, it was a shocker. It took me a week to
Yeah,
digest this, saying that one end I'm a superstar for 5 years, and then suddenly you're telling me
right.
to go and work in an outhouse. Did I
Yeah,
do something wrong? So it really shakes you. It took me
yeah,
literally a week. Should I accept it or should I leave my job? I went down to that level. But that's where being able to speak to somebody you trust, the maturity with which you understand what do you want from this. So somewhere you have to build that confidence within yourself, that is it a challenge that today this will happen. I mean, if I go to a new company, this could happen. The ability to face the challenge and ask the right questions, that why are you asking me to do this? I
yeah,
mean, is it something, is it a punishment, or are you throwing a new challenge at me? Because
yeah,
then I can react differently, right? That's what I learned to do in the process, and that's what helped me in a lot of good places, where, in fact, one of the companies, I used to sit in a board meeting where 12 gentlemen and one woman, nobody really asked for my opinion or gave me an opportunity to speak, till the CEO went out of his way to, there is a reason why Mamta is in the room. She heads experience, and
yeah,
the vision of this company is to move from a product company to an experience driven company. Let her speak. But when I speak, I have to make sense, because there are
yeah.
12 people who have to be convinced, right? Otherwise, next time he's not going to offer that.
Right.
So I think these kind of moments define and give you confidence to do well. But the other bit, the lows, taking emotional decisions, right? I did. I think whenever anybody loses a parent, it generally shakes you to a different level. I think when I lost my mom, it was a very emotional turmoil time for me, and I think I ended up taking decisions which were not really right in my career path, choosing to leave what I was doing and possibly lost senses of what is important, right? But yeah, that's rare. But otherwise as well, general habit to be lazy. I think we shy away from things because we feel it's very hard. And I
Yeah.
think I learned that very early in my career days of cricket as well. The
Yeah.
day I realized that, there are a lot of India players in the team, I'm never going to get an opportunity. So
Yeah.
you just give up. And I did do that. Today, if you ask me 20 years later, could I have worked harder, considering I was a niche left handed opening batsman, right? Very rare in those days. There was only Anjum Chopra then. So I could have worked hard, but these are things which I remember that these are mistakes, of course, but I learned. I accept them. That's the first step. Second, I'll make sure that I don't give up. I don't leave the room when the battle is still on, right? So 20 years, these are the good and bad or ugly things that I learned in my life, but I'm very proud of all of them. I speak about it very openly because I don't think anyone is perfect.
Very well spoken, Mamta, and very straight from the heart. I mean, what you're saying is, it rings a bell with all of us, because we've all gone through emotional ups and downs. We've all gone through moments of self doubt. And I love what you said, which is on the table, which is, I think the mentor plays a very big role in
Yeah,
your our lives, and with a good mentor to back you up, and of course provided you also have the the skill and the confidence in you, it goes a long way. And
yeah,
that's really the whole purpose of Say Cheese, to be a mentor for other women, to call inspiring women such as you to have each other's back. So that's the whole purpose of why we started Say Cheese and what our community is all about. Before we end the session, is there like an advice that you'd like to offer the women? So women come to us for all sorts of reasons of their own. It could be personal development in their careers, in their health, in their relationships. It could be for anything, but the idea is you come to us because we're a safe space where you can hear inspiring women and yet get the answers that you want, and even help. You could also be on the other side of the person who's helping. So is there an advice you'd like to give women who are since it's the career side might be closer to you, so in their careers, who are emerging or aspiring or have struggles to deal with?
okay. So yeah, thanks for this. I wouldn't say advice because it feels really sagey, but I do have a few very astute observations. Right, one is women and men or diversity. Let's not play it out louder than it needs to be, because
Yeah.
human evolution, there are certain norms we all live with that, right? Culturally, traditionally, the way we are built as people. Second, we should be proud of the choices we make. If you choose to be a housewife or a teacher, whatever choice you make it for yourself, because then you don't have regrets, right? But if you choose to be in a profession, especially like operations, right? One big skill you need to and do it to a level of competency where nobody can challenge you is know your numbers.
Yeah.
In operations, you cannot shy away. You can't tell me you don't know how to read a balance sheet or a financial record or read performance matrix, because
Yeah.
you're definitely going to fail,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So if you want to do well in a certain area, know the three things that are required. It doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman, but these are skills you need to have. And I think as women, we need to build our competencies before we reach that level. So that understanding, I think we should be very clear. One is don't shy away from speaking your mind. Don't have regrets, whatever
Yeah.
we choose.
Yeah.
And third, I think it's a very skill level base, but know your numbers.
Yeah.
Definitely be
Yeah.
good at numbers.
Yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely.
these are learnings.
Yeah, I mean, it could be know your numbers in operations, but basically what you're trying to say is know your job, right? Whatever it
Yeah,
is. So I think it's valid for almost anyone, right? Who's in
correct.
a career. Thank you
That's
so
true.
much, Namta. I think it was a very insightful session. In a very short period, you managed to convey many important points, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of women who will be benefiting from it. Thank you so much for coming on our platform, Mamta. Thank you for your
Yeah.
time.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, and I hope people have things to learn, or even maybe feedback for me as well, because always learning is a great attitude to have. So thanks again, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you. You too. You too.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. Okay, so the live stream has ended.